Hello, this is Lakshmi Anand Scott, formerly Lydia Scott. I have not uploaded a video in quite a long time, and I'm so sorry about that. I've been going through whirlwind of changes in my life for the past year or so, and so my life has been changing. The frequencies have been changing dramatically. I've changed probably a lot. If you've looked at my videos since 2014, 2015, you've probably noticed I'm probably radically different. My hair is dreading. So along with that, my world has changed dramatically. I'm permanently living down in South Florida at this time, and so it's all good. I wish I could have let you see some of the places I've lived. It's just been going from one paradise to another, and getting better and better. So with that being said, I don't go to my old websites. Everything's in flux. You just have to get me right here, right now. And today I'm wanting to talk to you about something that's been kind of solidified in its evolution of my experience, of what's been happening to me in my body as the frequencies raise. And what I want to relay to you, the people that I've also shared my information with have had dramatic changes in their body. I've had one person who has, and I'm going to tell you the basic recipe for a type of smoothie drink that I've been drinking, that came to me in meditation. It was developed over a couple of years, but it's basically for people whose frequencies are raising and you can't really tolerate, or you're having problems digesting other foods. That's what's happened to me as my frequencies are raising, and so it's happening to a lot of people. As your frequencies are raising, you're probably not able to digest food, or the food that you were eating isn't comfortable for you. It's possibly causing digestive problems. And so that's what we're going to talk about, is the frequency. As your body raises in frequency, as the frequencies are raising, your food is going to change. But here's the kind of caveat, the things that I'm running into, and may have to divide this up into some different videos. Okay, so to start with, because there's a lot of information about this, really, that's starting to come about. So what happened to me was, starting in 2012, almost exactly at the end of 2012, when we hit the December 21st timeline in 2012, it was almost boom. Like, I couldn't eat hardly anything but fruit. And I actually did some kind of show with somebody who on fruitarianism, because that's what I could start to eat. And I went vegan. I started seeing the cow, looking at Forks Over Knives video, which I highly recommend that you check out. Forks Over Knives, the Cowspiracy, I think that it's called What the Health documentaries. All those documentaries about what's going on in the food industry. So I got just the gluten sensitivity hit me like a ton of bricks, and I didn't really know, but I started researching what that was, and it turns out that so I gave up gluten, And right before I went to see the doctor, and he said, you know, I could run a lot of tests on you to confirm it, but basically if you give up wheat-containing foods, which by the way includes soy sauce and oatmeals, or mostly, unless it's labeled gluten-free, it's got gluten in it. I just wasn't able to eat that, and it was potentially for various reasons, genetic or who knows, or I can get into why we're becoming gluten sensitive. Basically, the agro industry changed the genetic code 100 years ago to make it the gluten, bulk it up to bulk up the wheat, etc., for profit, and it increased our sensitivity. It damages the gut. Hence, I ran into digestive issues, and I became not a good digester, possibly due to that, possibly because of genetics, possibly because of the frequency changes, that my body is just wanting lighter foods. So, okay, so really, what's the reason? Who cares? I need to eat lighter foods, so I started developing a food that I just wasn't, I've had health problems for a long time. That happens to a lot of light workers because you're running so much energy through your system, through meditation, through your desire to be of service, through the desire to be closer to your higher self. For many reasons, you run a lot of energy through your body, or a lot of energy does run through your body because of your purpose here. And when it runs through, it's knocking through all your resistance, all your conditioning that is not in alignment with your higher self. We can get into that. It's another topic. If you want to hear something about a topic, you need to write me contact me through the site, or leave in comments about what you want to hear more about. If you hear something in here I'm touching on, that way I can answer the questions. Otherwise I don't really know what to talk about. So anyway, so through meditation, when I was down here, I remember doing grounding meditation. And in one of the meditations, it spoke to me. I'm not going to say, let's just don't go in the details of how it spoke to me, but basically, it's, and through information given to me by my partner also, said that spirulina may be an answer. Well, spirulina is an algae that is super dense, micronutrients. They did an experiment, or they did a project in a third world country where the children were basically had hardly any food. They were not thriving. And some of them, all they had to eat was a teaspoon or a tablespoon of spirulina in a day, and they went from starving to thriving. So it's a very dense, nutritious food, single cell organism, algae, that some people say it could save the world. You know, if there's nothing else, so you're going to eat that, because it doesn't even take insulin to digest it and get it to your body's cells. So I started creating a green smoothie around it with superfoods. And spirulina can taste kind of farmy. Does it taste really great? So I created a great tasting smoothie that has, you can make your own. But this has got chia seeds, aloe, and of course about a tablespoon, or at least a teaspoon and a quarter. You want to get at least a teaspoon in like a 16-ounce serving in your smoothie. And mine is vegan. You don't have to make it vegan, but if you're going to have any dairy products in there, you need to make sure it's organic and humanely sourced, because you don't want to be eating foods as a light worker, as an evolving human being. You don't want to be eating foods that contain animal suffering. the hormones of animal suffering, the frequency and energetics of it too. Now, if you don't believe in that, believe that there's hormones running through it that are adrenaline and cortisol and things like that, that, you know, if an animal is not healthy and is suffering in any way, you just really don't want to be absorbing that. So as a light worker, you want to try to go lighter. There's too many great milks out there today to be eating any dairy cow juice, which is full of, it's full of not pleasant things if you knew about it. They give a lot of antibiotics to overcome the infection that's generally in the milk. So that's saying it nicely. One of the people that I've worked with, you know, has lost over 100 pounds. Another one who reversed his diabetes. Another one got rid of his shingles that would not go away just while they were on these smoothies. So again, you know, try to get superfoods in your smoothies. I also put flaxseed in there. You can put quinoa flour in there, coconut flour to beef it up. You can put finely chopped, well, I haven't put that, just the flaxseed, the chia seed, the quinoa flour. You can put, of course, you can use the organic bananas as a base. So at some point I might put out the recipe, but I've told that if I want to put it on the market, I can't necessarily put out the recipe. Let me just think on that, of how I can kind of accomplish both. You know, I will put the basic recipe out at some point here, and not in this video. So, but go ahead and try to start fitting your own spirulina recipe, put a recipe together. There's so many out there that are wonderful. And another thing to think about when you're starting to go with higher frequency foods, which means more light, more juicy, more watery. Of course, spring water, not purified water, spring water, preferably in glass, preferably you've collected it yourself. That's ideal, in glass jars. From a great, clean, high frequency spring. That's ideal, but if not, then do the best you can. The high frequency foods are lighter, they're waterier, like as in smoothies, as in fluid drinks. They're live. That means like sprouts. If they're live, they're growing. If they're not growing, they're raw. Of course, they're organic. And organic is kind of the least of what you're wanting to look for, because let's say if it's at the very least it's not cooked, but sometimes we eat cooked foods. Okay, so I still eat a little bit of cooked or processed foods, but it's down to about 10%, let's say, of my diet. So this is a process. If you're not there, you don't want to go all the way to, you can't move through these levels just bing, you know, and do it. Sometimes you can. It's miraculous if you do, but most likely you're going to have a lot of symptoms if you do that. I lagged kind of behind my body. So because I actually did a process with Jas Moheen's meditations several times. I went through a 21-day juice fast. It was a process. I initiated my body into accepting prana by Jas Moheen's meditations. Now that initiated my body into accepting higher wanting and being able to process higher frequency energies and foods. But I mentally, my mind and my emotions have lagged. So for me, that means I still wanted emotionally these lower frequency foods. And my body was telling me with its symptoms of non-digestion, of digestive symptoms, let's just say, unpleasant, very unpleasant. I don't want to go into it. Your body will tell you if you're behind your body, and if your body is more able to accept higher frequency foods, but you keep putting that kind of junkier food in, even when my junkier food happened to be organic, and it was like organic popcorn, organic chips, or just too much food, or it was still vegetable soups and things like that, but it was just, my body still wanted lighter foods and less. With Jasmuheen's meditation, I believe it initiated, and I had Ayurvedic practitioners tell me that I had essentially, for whatever reason, and my American doctor confirmed it too, that my digestive fires had greatly diminished, they had been killed, they had been reduced. That's my body saying it doesn't want so much food. It doesn't need it, it doesn't want it. And I can subsist on very, very small amounts of food, but I mentally and emotionally have that ego still in place. It's hard for me to admit, but it's true, that I still crave those things. Excuse me. That's one of the symptoms right there. I just had some smoothies, but I had a lot of it. So I had a little too much, and so I get digestive symptoms. Anyway, anyway, where was I saying? So I have to do meditation. I have to do self-observance. I have to root out the things that make me crave food. Now, I have somebody else, one of my other people I'm working with, and they have the opposite problem where they're not craving food. They don't want to eat that much, but their body continues to lose weight. Like I said, they've lost over 100 pounds. And as they've put this into place, they've put in higher frequency foods, but their body is almost like it's questionable whether it's losing too much weight. Now they're very, very thin. They've gone from very large to very, very thin. And also what happened to Jasmuheen, and some to people who stop eating foods or who eat very, very little calories, maybe 200. Probably that's about 1/10 of what the average American eats. Their bodies, if their mentality is mental and emotional body is not high frequency enough, they will not keep their weight on. They have the opposite problems. Like I can easily keep my weight on, really. I can eat very little and my weight will stay on. But I like to eat. All right. So, but if you have how do I put this? If your body is not able to accept prana as a source of food because your mind is using so much energy, or is it because it's in a negative state? There's kind of two parts to that. You have to initiate your body to accept prana from the environment, from the earth, from fire, from the sun, from the earth, from anything. Any way you particularly like to gather, from the ocean, air. Your body can use all those sorts of energies, from meditation, from the fire, from a candle, from the smell of incense. Your body can use so much of that to transfer into nourishment. Music, sex, the energy from that. You can do so many things to gather prana, the frequency in your body, to sustain it. But if it's not entrained to do such, then when you go to high frequency foods, and I said the levels are at the very least or non-cooked organic. Then you go to raw foods, and in those raw foods, then they should be unprocessed raw foods, or the less processing. And then higher frequency is living foods. The highest frequency would be living foods. But and of those living foods, you want, ideally, it's said that fruit is the only food that is meant to be eaten by a plant, because it's put out for reproduction. It puts it out to be eaten by other animals. So then the seeds that's why fruit has seeds, and it gets distributed. So plants themselves are not meant to be eaten per se, but fruits are. The fruit of plants, of trees, of things are meant to be eaten. And that's one reason why the highest ethics is to save the seeds from those and to give that plant an opportunity to grow somewhere. That's the highest non-karmic way to eat. And that's what Shiva was said to tell Parvati that's she'll ultimately be a fruitarian. He went through the stage. Ultimately, you'll be fruitarian, and you'll just be drinking water will you be your last sustenance. And then that's the last stage, and then not even water. And there are masters around the world, and not even masters. There's now people who are there's about a few years ago, there was about 30,000 that was said to be on the list of pranarians, people who live on prana alone. There's some people who have like 200 calories. I was doing that for a while. And that's not really pranarian, but some people call them, it's all whatever, not getting into debates about it. So, the issue is your bottom line here is your frequency of your food needs to be in the range, the bandwidth. Frequencies are in bandwidths, like in radio waves. That's the kitty back there. My kitty, he's talking, he's wanting to eat. We're talking about food. He won't go vegan, tried to. No, we didn't. That's another video. So, of why, certain creatures are not supposed to be vegetarian. I'm not going to press that on him. So anyway, I know. Silly, isn't it? How deep it can get. So your food needs to be in the frequency of your body-mind complex, body-mind-spirit complex. Like I said, so your body may be ready to accept higher frequency food, but your mind and your emotions, you may still be craving. So it needs to be in the frequency of. Now, very short, just overview. If you're going to eat your low frequency food, and this is what my guides just recently dropped on me, is that with somebody I was working with, they said, tell him to eat his lower frequency food, and I've already been doing it naturally, and people do this naturally. Eat your cooked foods at night, because you will not be suffering the mental effects of, and the physical effects. Your body will be asleep at night, and your body won't be feeling the effects of it. And you're going to be out of this body. You take off your mind, emotion. Your astral body takes off, which is effectively your mind and your emotions takes off at night. So it won't be suffering it as much. And if you do, most people do not remember. Now, there is that thing where you may have nightmares and remember nightmares, and it's going to be lower frequency. However, you won't manifest it here in this dream. You'll manifest it in the other dream when you're wherever you take off to. So, because the reason why I say that is because the person that had to start eating more food That was my recommendation to him. And when he did, he ate some processed cooked food. He went from high frequency food to the cooked processed food during the day, and his mind, he got psychic attacks, basically. He got very low. He dropped his frequency lower than he was used to, and he felt bad, and his mind started having lots of monkey minds. He started feeling psychically attacked. So this is something to watch out for. So that's why I say, so if you're going to eat it at night. Try to do some really positive, it's important to do positive meditations before bed, positively align yourself, and that you're going to have good dreams as much as possible. Or, and then, but if you're going to do it during the day, then just be aware that you might be psychically attacked. You're going to feel worse if you eat those cooked or lower frequency foods. And definitely we're not talking meat. Meat is, especially cow meat in the regular world, with cows that are killed in the worst ways, you're picking that up. Okay, it's just that simple. You're picking up that cortisol, that fear hormone. If you don't believe in the frequency, the karma of it, I don't know what to tell you. Then you're watching the wrong video. You're watching the wrong person, because I don't see how you can think you're not picking that up. If you're at all of a spiritually minded thinking person who knows how science works. Okay. It's just in there. So I may seem like an airhead or something like that, but I'm a well-educated person, and I topped out in physics and statistics. I was teaching the classes, and so I don't know what to tell you except that if you can't understand how that works, trust that I know how it works. I've got master's degree. I've been in 3 honor societies. I'm not a dumb bimbo. And, the physics is there. If you need to go and study the physics, I had to too. I don't blame you. Do your homework. Watch, Cowspiracy. Watch those movies, Forks Over Knives. And study some physics. Quantum physics. String theory and all that, and you'll see how these frequencies are transferred, So that's a kind of maybe a long-winded one on, whoa, we're at 28 minutes. Oh, geez. Okay, suppose it's long enough. Maybe I can do some shorter ones on how all this works. If you have questions, get it to me, put it in the comments, email me at 12rainbowgates@gmail.com. That's 12 rainbow gates, plural. I may get it, I may not. But keep trying, and because I have to have the questions, but if you get to the comments, I think I will get alerted. So if you like some of this information, want to know more about any particular part in here that you want me to expound on, then let me know. And by the grace of all the helpers out there, it will get to me. All right? You have a blessed awesome day, because you are here for a reason. To have a great life, start by having a great now. Right now. Bye, blessed beings. Have an awesome day.